Hello, hello, Otafest podcast listeners. I'm Angelo, and with me today are Nancy and Jay.
Hi.
That's me.
Hello, me. I thought you were Jay.
I'm Anjay.
No, that's
And
me.
Jay. Angelo, that's me, though.
Whoa.
Whoa.
There's only so many times we can get away with this bit, so let's hop into
know.
some news and announcements. It's the Phoenix Queen of the Nation. Otafest is proud to welcome Canada's Drag Race Season 4 runner-up, Aurora Matrix, as the special guest and host of Friday night's all-ages drag show. Aurora's drag is heavily influenced by her Chinese culture and strives to be a role model for queer Asian youth. Serving plenty of turns, drops, and stunts. Expect an electrifying production from Aurora Matrix. Get your tickets at Otafest/tickets. That's otafe.st/tickets.
Hey, you. Yes, you. Do you have cosplay knowledge that you feel a burning desire to share with the world? Want to help aspiring cosplays fix their seam? Pose better for cosplays? Have wigs that will survive a hurricane? Does your soul still burn? Then we want you for Cosplay How It's Made, Otafest's premier show and tell event. Apply to become a presenter and share your wealth of knowledge with the community via otafest.com/howitsmade. Applications close April 16th.
And please welcome Autumn's cosplay as Otafest's 2025 cosplay special guest. We are so proud of local cosplayer Autumn, who has been cosplaying and competing for over 10 years with over 50 designs under her belt and more than 20 awards. She's proudly represented Canada 5 times in international competitions, including clinching the win during Otafest 2019 to compete at the Clara Cow's Cosplay Cup Finals, and she even recently featured on Adam Savage's Tested. Autumn loves to share her knowledge with the cosplay community, and she constantly holds panels, events, and even teaches leatherworking classes in Calgary to help cosplayers learn the tricks of the trade to make their own creations come to life. She is super excited to come to Otafest this year and cannot wait to see everyone. Check her out at autumnscosplay.ca.
Oh my god, we've got quite the lineup. We've got quite the lineup coming in.
Yeah.
I'm excited. This is going to be another rockin' year.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Ooh.
Speaking of having a rockin' year, though, it's been quite a season with lots of ups and downs in the weather. So what did y'all get up to for your Valentine shenanigans?
I froze my butt off.
You sure did.
And for that
It was
reason,
minus 29 last night.
I stayed inside on Friday night. I stayed in with Dio, and we just had a wonderful evening in. I made some homemade pizzas. I just kneaded the dough before going into work, let it rise over the course of the day. And when I came home, I made 2 different pizzas. One was my favorite kind, and one was Dio's favorite kind. So it was one with some fresh mozzarella and sun-dried tomatoes and fresh basil from the plants growing in our window. And the other one was more of a classic Hawaiian. It was very nice.
Very yummy.
Dio,
Wait, whose favorite is whose?
I like the well-cultured pick. The sun-dried tomatoes and fresh mozzarella with basil.
I do love sun-dried tomatoes. There's just something about them.
Concentrated umamis.
Oh
So
yeah.
good. So good.
And then Dio. I love Dio. I love Dio.
I love Dio, too.
I love Dio.
Yeah, get in line.
Dio has converted me into a pineapple on pizza tolerator.
Yeah.
I think that just shows how much you mutually love each other.
Nah, I've always liked Hawaiian pizza myself.
I have
as
always
well.
liked pineapple. I don't find it offensive to have it on a pizza. I've never quite understood that.
My problem with pineapple on pizza, especially when you're ordering a pizza in, it is frequently like the pineapple gets colder faster than everything else. It frequently detaches from the pizza and leaves this weird little crater of cheese where the pineapple used to be sometimes. A lot of times the pineapple that's used just isn't good. Uh, what I have found is that if you saute the pineapple, get a little bit of the sugars caramelizing before it goes into the oven, it completely changes the character of it and makes it much, much better.
I also wonder if it wouldn't be a good idea instead of having pineapples on top, because I also when you bring up the crater of uh pineapple emptiness, um when it kind of falls off, I wonder if like around those craters, I almost never see any caramelization, and I wonder if it's because the pineapples are too wet going in
Oh, yeah,
for the
frequently.
cheese. So what if you sauteed the pineapple and then put the pineapple underneath like a pocket of cheese?
I get what you mean, but I want the pineapple to burn a little bit more as the pizza's cooking.
Mm, that's fair.
I kind of prefer my pineapple under the cheese too, actually, now that you mention
Really?
it. I
Really?
do. I like my cheese to fully encompass all of the things that are going on my pizza. I've
Yeah.
never thought about putting it on top, but that's actually a really interesting suggestion.
Fair.
Have you thought about slicing the pineapple thinner?
Oh, I slice it very thin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I do
That's his
like.
tolerance. That's his
I
tolerance.
actually, I actually really like it very thin. There's just
Yeah.
something about really thin slices of pineapple that are just really lovely after it's been warmed up and it's been in an oven. I don't know what it is.
Well, it actually cooks. That's another problem
Yes.
with a lot of the pizza places where you like order a pizza from like Domino's or something. I actually appreciate Domino's a lot. I think Domino's makes a decent pizza for the price. I hate the pineapple that comes on Domino's pizza. It's objectively awful.
Fair enough.
That is. Is it because they use canned pineapples?
I don't know. I don't think it is canned. I'm
Oh,
not
I
sure.
don't
Now
think the
we're-
problem is whether it's canned or not. I really do think is that pineapple is so much like weight by water,
Yeah,
like so much of it.
it really is.
But caramelizing it does a lot of wonders. It's like, it's raw tomato versus cooked tomato.
Exactly. It completely changes the character. Like I love raw tomato slices on certain pizzas. It's great. It's a vibe. But cooked tomato sauce is the standard for a reason. So, we had a wonderful dinner of our favorite pizzas. Dio went and bought some fantastic beers, and we spent the night in watching Castlevania.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
Like the animated Netflix one.
Yeah, the latest
Very
season dropped.
nice. Love it.
It was fantastic.
I'm trying to remember what I did on Friday. Friday was not a holiday thematic thing because I believe I was at work that day. It was really cold. I was at work that day to quote unquote celebrate a team member leaving. So they're transitioning off of my team to a different team. But they're still in Calgary and we still see them almost every day that we're in the office anyway. So it's more of a let's just use this opportunity to have some company funded food
Ah.
and board games and board
Yeah.
games.
If you can make the company buy lunch, it's worth it. Any reason to make the
That's-
company buy lunch.
And, in a way, it was also just like celebrating his accomplishments on this team as he, moves on to working on other hectic and high profile projects. So it was nice. It was nice. We played a bunch of Parade. I have a game called Parade that not a lot of people know about. But it's now out of print. So anytime I have introduced it to people and they like it and then they go and try and find it, they're like, I can't find this. There's one copy on Amazon selling for $90. What the heck?
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's really funny. But it is a very simple game. So it's just a really nice, less involved break time kind of a game that you can just play. And it doesn't take a super long time. The fun thing is that it's Alice in Wonderland themed, so you play by golf point rules. You want the lowest score possible, and you kind of sort of can meta the game a little bit to try and like screw other people over.
Oh.
Only a little bit though, because there's only so much you can do when everyone's hands are random. You are picking up cards as you go, and the state of the board changes every turn. So you can only plan your moves up ahead so much.
Fair
Fair.
enough.
It's fun. And then after that, I went down a weird Wikipedia rabbit hole and discovered Lupercalia, which is the old pagan festival that eventually turned into Valentine's, kind of, sort of.
This sounds like a disease. I don't care how many times you say it. I don't want to get infected with Lupercalia. I'm going to put on a
It's
mask
literally
right now.
a hedonism festival. It's a hedonism festival. It's just like, go and indulge in things. Go
Isn't
buy yourself some
every
chocolate.
every festival is a hedonism festival.
Yeah, but there's all these attached rules of guilt. You have to have a hedonism event with people. For them, not for you.
I guess. But I think that's just how people want to live their lives.
That's okay too.
They're
But
not
anyway, Lupercalia has ties to Romulus and Remus.
Yeah, the
And was
supposed
part of that
founders
story.
Oh
of
yeah,
Rome.
the Star Trek people.
I think you're thinking of the Romulans.
I think you're thinking of something else.
I don't even know what the Romulans are. You have to go to Vulcan to find that information.
I have an answer for that, but I'm not going to get into it.
Oh,
But anyway.
Oh, fair. We need to stay semi on topic.
I do need to stay semi on topic. We only have 45 minutes and we go over it every time.
Every time.
Every single time. So anyway, Lupercalia. My takeaway from it is that it is an excuse for you to go and indulge in something you like. So I've been wishing people a happy Lupercalia all weekend, and no one knows what it is. No one's heard of it.
No, I have literally
No.
never heard of this thing in my life.
Many people have heard of it, just not in this day and age.
True.
Okay, fine. With the addendum that nobody alive currently really seems to have heard of Lupercalia. So
Yeah.
anyway, it was a hedonism festival, and now we know.
So did you sacrifice any animals and whip people with their hides?
I didn't whip anybody, but I definitely had a lot of sushi this weekend.
Oh my.
So that counts as an animal sacrifice for the hedonistic pleasure of eating them. So yeah, sure.
Hell yeah, I can get
Why
down
not?
with
Have
that.
you ever, on that quick note, have you ever thought about whenever you go for like all you can eat sushi, how many individual animals that you're actually taking a chunk out of?
Yeah, I
For
have
your
thought
one
of
meal?
that. I have
Yeah.
thought of
So
that.
I haven't actually thought of that in terms of sushi because like when it comes to sushi, if you have like a plate of sashimi, right? If you have like a large pile of tuna or something, it is entirely possible all those pieces came from the same tuna. Chicken wings on
It's
the
also
other hand.
It's also entirely possible that none of them came from the same animal.
True.
Yeah, and there's also this whole like you're eating like a 0.1% mass of each individual fish. If like okay, so
Yeah.
say you got a bunch of different tuna dishes, and let's just assume all of those pieces came from the same tuna. You still only had like a fraction of a percent of a single tuna.
But chicken wings on the other hand, you can count exactly how many chickens you are devouring.
Minimally.
Minimally.
You're assuming
Yes.
that they came from the least number of animals, but yes, minimally.
Yes.
Yes.
There
It's
is.
true.
If you have a chicken wing flat, you can look at that and you can pick up a second flat. And if it is not like mirrored, you know you are holding two different birds in your hand.
It's true.
It's true.
How many chickens' arms did you take?
And if you like go to a bar and you get a plate of 10 wings, depending on what they are, those came from minimum 3 different birds.
And if you like the quote-unquote boneless wings, basically chicken nuggets, then you have countless numbers of chickens you may be ingesting.
That goes back to the sushi topic. Like that is when it comes to the chicken nuggets, the boneless wings, which depending on which state you are, may or may not have bones.
True. Also true.
You have like 5 or 6 or 10 of them. They could potentially come from the same animal. They might not. They probably don't.
If you're indulging in the nug life, you could be eating like 20 animals at the same time.
True.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little weird to think about.
But at
Yeah, and
least,
it's not like sausage, where
would you want
sausage
to
does typically tend to
maximize it
come
or
from like one
minimize
cut.
it? Because if you
Yeah.
get like the boneless chicken chunks, usually that is like a chopped piece of one bird that is just breaded and fried. If you're going like the chicken nuggies from McDonald's, a single nuggie could have a countless number of birds.
That's very true.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have a good answer for do you want more or less numbers of animals?
Yeah.
Because I feel like the efficient person that I like to be would prefer that I'm only having a limited number of creatures. But then again, I just went for sushi twice this weekend and I had
Yeah.
a lot of different pieces of a lot of different creatures.
Yeah.
I
So
I let's see. It's funny that we brought up sushi and wings because I've had both of those this weekend. Um, but
we
before
are,
that,
if anything,
I'll
very
explain.
consistent.
Yeah, I'll explain my uh Lepidoptera Optimus Prime day
Weekend.
miss shenanigans. My girlfriend went to work. We were very non-committal about doing anything for Valentine's. Like we were like, oh, maybe we'll go for dinner, or maybe I'll cook something, or whatever when you get home, kind of thing. And but what I had planned was I was always gonna make dinner because I had some rack of lamb that I had stored away in my freezer from an
Oh.
amazing sale like a year ago,
Oh my.
Damn.
where every rack of lamb I was just like randomly grocery shopping, and sometimes you browse a little bit and check other sections, and on that day I happened to check the frozen meat section where they had the Frenched rack of lamb selling for $10 per rack.
I
All
think I
right.
remember
Is-
you telling us about this after you found it because you were
Yes.
just so baffled by the price.
I was ecstatic, and I bought like 9 of them at that time.
All right.
Understandable.
Yeah, and we had so I was down to one. I was literally down to one rack. And I was like, you know what? Valentine's Day is a good one to save it for. So I cooked that up. I also had some duck breasts that I sous vide and finished in the pan. Had some potatoes with it. Got to use some of my new Arrow Garden herbs for seasoning of both duck and lamb.
All right.
Yeah,
Hell
it
yeah.
was a good time. And we watched Shrek, the most romantic movie there is.
You know, I want to say you're wrong.
But you know in your heart,
Shrek is a
correct.
very good romance, let's be real.
it is.
It is.
You're
There's
not
two
wrong.
romances. There's 2 romances in that movie. Don't
Yeah,
forget.
you got Shrek and Fiona and Donkey and Dragon.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. It's been a while since I've seen Shrek. Time to
Well,
revisit it.
You have to revisit it because there is a new Shrek movie coming out in 2026.
Next year.
Wait,
Yep.
really?
There is
A new
Shrek
Shrek?
5 coming
It comes out.
They announced
It comes
Shrek
out on
5.
Angelo's birthday, apparently.
Not on my birthday.
What?
No, it comes out in the summer or something.
Oh,
Oh.
Dio said it came out on your birthday.
Oh
brought
my
this up
god, no,
yesterday.
Dio is right. It comes out on my birthday, 2026.
All right, we know what we're doing for Angelo's
Respect your
birthday next
Dio.
year.
Respect your Dio.
December
Next
23rd,
year.
2026. Shrek
What will
5.
we do for your birthday this year, though?
Not Shrek 5, that's for sure. Oh my god.
True.
I thought it was
What a-
coming out in the summer for some reason.
The timeline is restored. We don't live in the darkest timeline anymore.
Oh gosh, I hope so.
Just because of that.
Oh gosh.
And then, yeah, I had some sushi. We had some wings, not in the same meal, but over the course of the weekend. I was
You know,
just
I
like,
was going to
have
say I would
indulged-
hope not, but you know.
No, I'm just saying that we engaged in all of the pagan ritual without being pagan or ritualistic. So
As
I
long
guess I
as it was
win.
a form of self-indulgence, I'm happy.
And here I was just being vaguely Italian by making my own pizza.
Oh, I want to say one last thing about it. I also won out at the end about the whole Rack of Lamb thing because I was like, that was my last one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I actually posted about it in the Otafest group Slack chat.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I'm sad that I'm using my last Rack of Lamb, but it'll be worth it. And then one of our friends posted, replied, said, guess what? My mom told me that there's a sale on Rack of Lamb right now.
Amazing. Wait,
It's
is it at
buy
the same
one,
place?
get one. No, it was not at Superstore. This one is at Save On. And they were like,
Ooh.
it's buy one, get one. And I was like,
Well,
there's a Save On 2 blocks away from me.
There is
Oh
a
my
save on 2
gosh.
blocks away from you.
Yeah, so I skedaddled over, and lo and behold, there were 14 racks of lamb in that freezer section.
I want.
So I bought 12.
Wow.
Right.
I'm glad you didn't just buy 13 because I'd be like, why would you leave one for someone? That's such a jerk thing to do. And
I
at your
bought-
own expense.
I bought 12. Some might ask, why didn't you buy all 14? First of all, I only had one bag.
That is a fair reason.
And I would like to say, because I managed that purchase, I have completed my hedonism for this weekend.
You
I'm very
have.
proud of you.
You absolutely have. Oh my god.
Very, very proud of you.
Thank you. I do
That's
what I can.
hilarious.
It was ordained by the heavens.
Indeed.
You were
Unfortunately, something that wasn't ordained by the heavens is that we were going to get together to play some board games this weekend. And they were like, okay, how's Sunday at 2? And I'm like, oh no, I'm teaching Sunday at 2.
Oh
I can't go.
no.
So that was why I couldn't make it to board games.
Aw.
But it sounded like it was a lot of fun because there were
a
there were
good time.
photos, there were many discussions had.
Yeah, we were playing Wormspan. It was Dio and I, Jay, and Jay's lady, and 2 other friends, Nikki of succulent Chinese meal fame.
Yeah.
A callback to a couple episodes ago.
You know your judo well.
Oh no.
And then our
I missed out on a
organizer,
chance to meet up.
Valtzy.
Yeah.
We played Wormspan, and I had never heard of Wormspan before when it was talked about in the group chat. And I could have just typed into Google to find out what it is. But my mind, the gears in my mind started turning, and I was just like, what if it is a bridge building game where you use dragons as material? That would be wonderful.
No, you just
I can see
engaged in
that.
more hedonism during the game by exploring the Crimson Cavern.
Were there dragons?
There were
That's
dragons.
where the dragons live. Yeah, our bee dragon, actually.
Oh boy.
It's actually a neat game. It is a neat game. You basically dig out caves and raise dragons in them.
Yeah, it's it is the, I guess, high fantasy version of Wingspan, which is one of my favorite tabletop games.
Yeah.
Because I love birds. And that game is all about birds, and it has bird facts and it has bird illustrations. And I have little eggs with my birds, and I'm like, yay. And then I guess we have to count up the points at the end.
Jay
Wormspan is all of
collected
those things.
so many dragon eggs that we ran out of eggs.
Yeah. And my tiny little baby dragon also ate 14 other dragons for points.
Wow.
And I also had a dragon meat grinder where if it wasn't a certain size of dragon, it turned into meat.
Yes. Yes.
And meat is a point to help raise other dragons.
It was an interesting game, although I guess part of it is just a matter of this is how this sort of genre of game works, but it was very a very individually played game. You know what I
Yes.
mean? There's
Wingspan is
very,
also.
very limited interactive uh, uh,
Hmm.
options between players.
It is
Hmm.
very much you are going to figure out what you have in your hand and how they might synergize, if they synergize at all, because sometimes they don't. And you're just trying to build your engine on your board to generate as many points as you can by the end of the game. And there's no real interruption of that other than players drawing the cards that you wanted instead. That's
Exactly.
pretty much it. It's peaceful,
It's
is
very
how I like
I
to
like
peaceful.
describe it.
peaceful games.
It's very. But that one criticism that I had, there were more than a couple times where we
Hmm.
actually missed out on cooperative opportunities explicitly because nobody was paying attention when it wasn't their turn.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
that happens in the base game too.
Yeah. Whereas, like,
Interesting.
a different, mostly friendly game, kind of like Tokaido, where it's not exactly PvP, but you still have opportunities to sabotage each other.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It
Tokaido is
does make
lovely.
everybody more coalesce around the game.
Yeah. I would argue the same about Tang Garden. Tang Garden is a game about
Hmm.
being the imperial garden architect, and you're supposed to be designing
Ooh.
a garden for his royal emperorness. And you actually do have a couple chances in there to sabotage in certain ways. But it does require you to pay attention. You kind of have to pay attention to what other people have, what it looks like they're going for, that sort of thing. So,
Hmm.
Yeah.
but otherwise, extremely peaceful game. It's
Yes.
so pretty, and all the pieces are so cute.
I want to
Yeah.
play
I
that
don't know
with you
about
sometime because it just looks so neat.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about Wormspan, but I know Wingspan's on Steam, and I've kind of wanted to get it if it ever comes on sale, just because I want to see how the automation of the game helps with like, getting the benefits of other people's plays and stuff like that. Like where
Okay.
if X player plays this card, then everyone gets an egg, but if you don't pay attention in real life, you won't get the egg, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
Um,
That's
it's
actually
things
something
like
that's
that.
kind of interesting. When you're playing like board games in real life,
Hmm.
other people not paying attention is kind of like a game skill, right?
Yes.
Whereas when you're actively playing the same board game but a computer game version of it, they can just automate those features. Do you
Hmm.
feel like it's better that those features are completely automated, or do you think that the other players that are supposed to be getting the benefits, but they only get that benefit if they pay attention? Do you feel that it's better to force them to pay attention?
I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's just the vibe of what is the most fun for you and your group.
All right.
Yeah. And it might also be one of those things too where shame on the group if they didn't catch it.
Yeah.
Right? Like even in parade, if it's up to everyone else to check the person who just put a card down to say, "Hey, actually you're supposed to pick up all these other cards." And if they don't get called out on it, then they get away with it, right?
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
But like a lot of the times it's just like it's to your detriment if you don't check other people.
Hmm.
Because there
So, I don't
was
know.
a
But in
situation
fairness,
where I
Mhm.
completely forgot to pay a dragon egg for something that I was supposed to pay a dragon egg for.
Mhm.
There was another situation where I played a card that gave me 2 guild points, and everybody else was supposed to get a guild point. Nobody caught that. And
Oh.
had they actually caught that, during that same turn, I could have paid more dragons to get an extra turn, and I completely missed it because I was so, like, uh, uh, concentrated on processing the guild points.
mm, I
It's a game with
I
a
feel
lot
like
going
we
on.
probably, yeah, like I would say the biggest downfall of that gameplay is that because of the design is very non-competitive in a lot of ways, like there are little things where you're like, oh, if you have the most of this type of bird or dragon or fish or whatever it is, then you by the end of the round, then you will get some bonus points. So maybe you will strive to get some more, and technically you're competing against somebody else who might also be trying to get more of that same type of beast onto the board as you are. But you don't really have a way to screw over other people necessarily,
Yeah.
other than by random chance. But when it comes to effects, board effects, which are like apply to every single player in the game, you tend to lose track because every other aspect is not as competitive. So therefore, you kind of are way more into your own weeds about how, you need to build your engine and play your game more so than how everyone else's effects, which there could be like 10 or 12 different effects that you would need to keep track of. So it kind of leads your mindset away from tracking all those things sometimes of your opponents,
Yeah.
but it's still a fun game. I
It was
still
still
really
really
enjoy it.
fun. And having played it once, I kind of want to have a second crack at it since now I kind of
Yes.
get the game.
It's one of those games that I found where I think that once you get used to playing it, it's actually very simple, but you do not really know what's going on at first because it seems intimidating with all the bits and pieces that appear, and all like the each card does three or four different things, and then the egg tokens show up, and then the guild tokens show up, and all this other stuff.
Exactly.
But the core of it is actually quite simple, and it's nice to play with experienced players on any of the span games because you do move things a lot faster as well because people start planning one or two moves ahead, like I was able to.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Planning multiple moves ahead. And then we had Nikki just generating coins from the ether so that she could just take turn after turn after turn. I swear this
true.
girl had like 50% more turns than anybody else.
I think we were second place
Yeah,
with
you were second
generating
place.
coins.
Valtzy was
We
first
did a lot of
place.
coin generating. Yeah, it was a fun time.
It was good. Dio and I tied
We
for
sh
last place.
Yes. Um, when Nancy is free and we play, and hopefully we can play Finspan, which is the other one
The fish
that
Fish?
game.
Nikki had. Yeah,
Oh,
the fish version.
cute.
Yeah, there's a bird
Apparently, it's
version, a
the
dragon
most
version, and a
basic.
fish version.
Yeah,
Hmm.
Nikki was saying it's apparently the most basic, even more basic than Wingspan somehow. So,
Mm.
maybe maybe that's the best like starter game, but I can't say for
Maybe.
sure.
Mm, I'm down.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Whoa. There was some interesting anime news that came out over the last week. There was
Indeed.
an article about Studio Dean. And Studio Dean, I have made many complaints about them. But they do have some very solid anime out. They are the studio behind Konosuba, as an example. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but they are also the studio behind Fate Stay Night, the
Oh.
version of Fate Stay Night that Type Moon pretends doesn't exist anymore.
You mean the
Aw.
one where people die when they are killed?
Yes, that one. That one. They are
Aw.
famously a very hit or miss studio that
Hmm.
frequently doesn't hit.
Oof.
But
Would you say it's a ratio of like 30% hit?
maybe,
Maybe.
maybe I would
Okay.
be generous and say 30%.
Okay, that's fair.
Now, something interesting happened to Dean in the early 2010s. In the early 2010s, they got acquired and rolled into a different group of studios called the IMA Group. And the CEO that came down and started running these studios was looking around and seeing, wow, there's a lot of crunch happening here. Wow, these animators, they're like staying up till 2, 3 a.m. Wow. You guys think you do your best work this way? Cut it out. Stop it. No more overtime. I hate this.
Which is an amazing pushback against standard Japanese work life social norms.
That is not just a scourge of the anime industry, but a scourge of Japanese work in general, where people work
Yes.
way too late, they work way too long. They are not as productive when they're working 90 hours a week.
But
And
in
one
the
of the
US,
things,
like in the US, like we hear about crunch in the
the
animation
gaming industry,
industry and the gaming industry,
yeah.
but I would say while I'm not trying to minimize the effects of crunch that they experience, but I would just say that it's a bit of a drop in the bucket compared to how Japan crunches, which
Oh,
is
yeah.
So
just it's across the board and it's nuts.
yeah, so one of the things that you like a factor you can point to, an actual national metric you can point to, is actually the fertility rate in Japan. Their population growth is negative because people can't find the time nor the energy nor the money to have a family.
100%. Like, it is an actual problem.
Yeah,
Totally.
they I can't remember what the Japanese term for it is, but they kind of respectfully applaud uh people who are like seen sleeping on trains or like
Yes.
sleeping
Sleeping at their
around like
That
desks.
public areas.
strange the strange badge of honor of falling asleep in public because you're
Yes,
so tired
because
from your day job.
exactly. I'm like, that's nuts.
That's not something to be proud of.
It's not.
That's like how some companies have an unlimited vacation policy, but all of the employees who work there applaud themselves on how
I'm
little
not taking it.
vacation they actually take.
For real.
Yes.
So I'm just going to name and pat this guy on the back. Shinichiro Ikeda, the CEO of Studio Dean, absolute mad lad, absolute Chad, absolutely
Giga Chad.
cool dude.
Yep.
Giga.
We love him. But not only was he saying, I don't care if sales drop, go home on time, he did one other amazing thing. When the people, the creatives were meeting, deciding what to make and how they would make it, he intentionally not went to those meetings. He just dipped out. He was like, no, you don't need me there. You think some crusty old bugger like me needs to be in these meetings? That is how companies die.
Mm-hmm.
It's
He's
true.
like, he's like, he recognized that the storyboard people, the artists, everybody in those creative meetings knew the product inside and out. So he just has to make business decisions about the product, not creative decisions. So he took himself out of that conversation, and it lessened the pressure that people felt. So they got to the creative flow worked better.
Yeah,
Their teamwork became better.
100%. And
Makes lots of sense.
Get out of your own way.
I was looking
That's
through
exactly it.
Studio Dean's their anime. And quite frankly, I'm so rude to them. I really am rude to Studio Dean because they have made a lot of less than stellar anime. But I am going to say that the amount of anime after about 2012, 2013 that were good, I would say that the ratio has improved.
That's good.
They still have some serious marks on their project list that I don't really want to give them the benefit of the doubt. Like the 2018 Junji Ito collection. I'm sorry, Dean. There is
Look.
no excuse for that.
Unlike our curated anime previews, not all of their projects can be bangers, okay?
For real.
Truth.
Just can't.
They just can't.
But
Truth.
this also reminds me of an oft repeated story at this point. and around another Japanese company that Angelo hates, but whose CEO also took the heat essentially for the team, where when Nintendo's Wii U sales were underperforming, the CEO cut his own salary down 90% or something like that, so that
Mm-hmm.
everybody could keep their jobs and just keep on working on and focusing on improving what they had.
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
Like credit where credit is due.
Mm-hmm.
Nintendo get wrecked. What the hell, you guys? But
Yeah,
credit where credit is due. Was that Iwata who did that? That was during the
I
EU,
believe so.
the
I
Wii
thought that was
Yes.
U.
Iwata.
Iwata was the
Yes.
good one.
Yeah. We miss you.
Yeah.
True. But yeah, I mean, it's a model of like speaking back to Studio Dean and everything or surrounding crunch in essentially the entertainment industry as a whole. I don't know. I don't know how often it can be imitated. I would hope that they do, because the second thing that's going to happen, and the companies won't want it, even though I'm pretty pro union, those studios and their workers will start having to unionize.
Oh,
And then
100%.
you are going to lose that, coveted crunch production. Um, so just, or you could be ahead of the curve and just treat your people like people, and they will do better work for you.
100%. Like
It's
I
it's been
need
shown like
to
over and over again.
considering
Mm-hmm.
this change for Studio Dean, I need to stop memeing on them too bad. I need to have a little bit more respect for them. Uh because this is overall good. And what's crazy is, even though, our boy Shinichiro Ikeda was like, I don't care if sales drop, go home on time, clock out, have a life. Their sales did drop at first, and then they recovered after a couple years. People found out, oh, I'm actually at work. I'll be productive at work instead of waiting for the productivity to happen sometime over this 90-hour work week.
Hmm.
Like, it is legitimately a force for good. And on top of that, this is giving your employees time to have a life outside of work is how better art happens. Like
It's true.
it just makes
I
your
I've never
employees more
I like
well-rounded people.
I'm pretty sure, it's not like I have data on it, but I'm pretty sure things like writer's block and art block, a lot of it happens because of overproduction.
Yeah.
You know, you've worked too hard for too long, and now you're burnt out, and you don't want to make the thing that you used to love anymore.
Like,
It's true.
this is kind of something that happens in the Western video game industry.
Hmm.
It is
Yeah.
often, very, very often criticized that a lot of games just don't have that much of a high level artistic message because a lot of the people working for them have been working so much that they haven't actually had time to grow up.
Hmm. I
Mm.
so one of my favorite franchises has a game that's releasing at the end of the month. It's Monster Hunter Wilds. I've talked about it a little bit before. They put in a lot of work. It's made by Capcom, just for reference.
Oh, hell yeah.
And there's a lot of good details in the game. Like a lot of the reptilian and avian type monsters even have like nictating membranes that cross across their eye before their eyelid closes when they blink. Like there's a lot of crazy detail in this game. And
Mm-hmm.
they've been running multiple open beta tests and taking a lot of feedback, and they're like, we're trying to, you know, polish and finish up this game. But I am a little bit worried that like what either will or won't come out, but like certainly they're probably in like major crunch mode because it's like about 10 or 11 days right now before the big release comes. And I'm just worried that like after it comes out, you're gonna hear all the big stories about how like they crushed their animators and, annihilated their project people to get this game out, and I'm like, I don't want to support that. I've supported way too many games that I've done that, but at the same time, like, you can't control the industry. The industry kind of has to fight for itself.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
Like, I don't know how else to put that. It's like, yeah, there's people could always say, I'm not gonna buy the game because of it. Well, someone else is they're still gonna buy the game, but you, as the employee in that situation, do have to find a way to, like, strengthen your position. Um, I'm not placing the blame, I'm placing the responsibility, because when you do that as one group, other groups will see that it's possible as well, and it becomes the industry standard that way.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, but I'm hoping that there's limited crunch. No crunch is, I can't really believe in it for any AAA sort of release, but I would like it to be minimized.
Crunch
very
has
much.
to become the exception rather than the expectation.
I agree.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
And then
like,
you're well compensated for it after or
Yeah.
something.
when
Straight up, if you
the
make sure these
original-
guys are paid overtime, crunch will stop happening.
Yeah. So when the original Cyberpunk release was scheduled and they had to
Yeah.
delay it for a month, and they were just like, sorry, it's just going to be delayed because we want to control that. I really respected that, and I still do. I think
But then it came out that there was still a lot of crunch.
there
No,
was
there was
still
a lot of crunch behind Cyberpunk.
Yeah, and I
Their
think it
problem
would
was
have
that
been a
there was
lot.
literally years of crunch.
Yeah.
It would have been a lot more respectable if they hadn't misrepresented that to the media. But anyway, I really respect when people say, I'm sorry, consumers, you're not going to get this game in time for Christmas. Too bad.
Yeah.
Our employees need time to rest and be with their families.
Like, I want to give the credit where it is due. I believe it was Shigeru Miyamoto himself who said it. But a delayed game is eventually good. A bad game is bad for, like, an unfinished, unpolished turd of a game is bad forever. People love, what is it called? That Sean Murray game with the space and the traveling
No Man's
planets.
Sky?
No Man's Sky. People love No Man's
Yeah.
Sky today. No Man's Sky today is legitimately a good game. No Man's Sky today is what it was promised to be on launch. I still equate No Man's Sky in my mind with a bad product.
Yes.
I just remember how ridiculous it was
True.
in the beginnings. The promises that were made, the many media appearances and the things that he said during those, and then the launched product was just
Not what was
No.
promised.
no, not even close.
Not even
And
close. It actually is
props
now, and
for
it's a
fixing
beloved game. It's like 10 years old now. But I still, in my mind, think of it as, oh yeah, the liar game.
the liar
The liar
game.
Dang.
The liar liars game. Oh jeez.
Oh. But yeah. We love it when employees clock out on time. Hell yeah. Let's go.
Do it.
And
Do
it's
it.
time for us to clock out now, too.
Yeah. Yeah, we're a couple minutes overtime. Let's go.
Oh no,
Let's
we're
go.
doing crunch.
Bye-bye.
See you next time.
Goodbye.